Hey guys, Silk here, and today we're just going to play. I'm done with some tutorials for now. We'll put some more up fairly soon. Today I'm just going to have make the first of a videos in a stream of just play videos. Really, that's what we're all here for. As we go along, hopefully I get to share some tips with you. You get to see me stuff things up. You get to see everything in its naked glory. So I'm just going to sort of rabbit on as I play the game and just kind of talk through some thoughts about it. First of all, we're going to just send some things out. So I've got my base here by a 300, which I've repetitively dropped and retaken over the course of the last few days, trying to get this Leviathan here all the way up to level 50, and we're just going to go in there. We'll plop in there, we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, somewhere over here I'm doing the same thing with a corruptor. It's not going quite so well because this tile here seems to be putting me up against a lot of other corruptors too, so we'll see how that goes and potentially watch Silk stuff things up considerably. Otherwise, I'm literally sort of just got into the game probably about 15 minutes ago, but haven't paid much attention. We got a nice cup of tea on the brew somewhere, so we might have to take a break to go and finish making that off. But let's have a look. Where are all my ships at the moment? We got the Cypher, I think, here. I need to get this one home. Out of all my ships, this is probably the lowest level, and I really need to get him up to a few more levels so we can just load him up with werewolves when we're going to do some sieges on some of those planetary stations. So let's just bring him home now. Oh, come on, let me click that. Recall the ship. Yes, of course I want to now. I could probably speed this thing up if I wanted to. If you want to do that, you come in here, you can spend some gold. You might get one of the very few speed ups that are given out in the game. Hopefully they're going to change that and we'll get a lot more of those coming in. Otherwise you're going to lose players, that's my opinion. Nobody really wants to wait. How long is that? 2 hours. And this is one of those weird things. It takes me an hour to get here to this outpost from my base. It takes me 2 hours to get home. Please fix it. I'm just getting so tired of some of this stuff. There's a lot of feedback vids I've done. I don't know if anyone's actually bothered watching them or not. You're not really necessary, but we've put in a lot of feedback for the development team. Some of it's based on sort of community ideas. A lot of it's my own, and a lot of it sort of syncs with community ideas. So anyway, we're just going to send Mr. Cypher home. Where have I got my dread at the moment? I've got him sitting somewhere over here. Oh, this is kind of an interesting scenario here, actually. If I just pull out of here, we're kind of, as you can see, heading in towards Terra territory. I think we've probably actually got some of our guys already somewhere near here. Let's just go and have a check on that. Yeah, we've got a few here. They might have been cleaned out. No, not yet. This is just unfortunate for Terra. They just didn't have the numbers in the game to start with to actually put up anything sort of vaguely realistic of a fight of any description whatsoever. And you might kind of think, yeah, that's a bit harsh and so on, and you know, why you're going in, it's a new game and so on. But if we go in this season up here, let's just go and see. Look, let's have a look at the chapters. Where are we at now? We're on chapter 9. What happened to chapter 8, the Gathering Storm? That was 35 regions. We didn't quite make it in time. 33. We could probably have got that, but never mind. We lost out on, what did we lose out on? 250 gold each. That's a shame. So now what have we got? These 3 regions here. It looks like we're going to achieve that within the time frame easily. There's I think Eldarin have already taken 1. Ograx have maybe taken 1 or 2. 1 at the moment. So I think we're lining 1 up as we speak. So hopefully within the next day or 2. So we should get that server. But if we carry on through here, factions are ranked based on the controlled regions. I'm going to come talk about that in a little bit because I've got to be in my bonnet about farmers. Nova and Firon have been captured, and any one of the factions occupies 3 out of the 8 faction capitals in total. That is actually a season reward. So if we're in here to take Terra, then we want to get that reward. That's why we're going in. The game is set up and designed that way. So if there's anyone crying some tears over this, it's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Some seasons you'll come up and you'll get completely slaughtered, and yeah, you'll end up in this position that Terra's in now. Other seasons your group might be doing great. So the group is everything. Got to work as one. and if you don't have the numbers, then you're a bit stuffed, really. And we are sort of certainly in that boat, maybe compared, if looking at the map here in Server 1, compared to Ogrex and Eldarin. This might look good, but the majority of these we've taken with sort of maybe 4 players and had to hit them twice. So we're getting there. We're getting a few more people involved. Finally, they're finally realising what the point of the game is. But yeah, Ogrex are winning large, in my opinion, in this server. Stoner are holding their own. Tyrannus had a bit of an oddball one. They came with quite a large group, lost quite a few people, probably quite a few crypto players who were sort of a bit fly by night in there and didn't stop by. Whereas, nothing against the crypto players here, because by Jesus, we got a few of them. Ogrex have got quite a lot, and they've all stayed. Nice one. Stay, keep spending, keep the game going. That's good, because I can't afford to. Eldarin. Oddball one here, really. We came in as Rogs, intending to all go into Arkos, couldn't all get in, so then overflowed to Eldarin, and we now kind of got 2 groups split up. Now, whether we stay allied or whether we stay as enemies, I don't know. Let's see how it goes. I guess for now we've kind of got agreements with Ogrex and Eldarin just to leave us be for now. We're not really a great threat to anyone, I wouldn't imagine, and we'll just sort of see how that goes. We'll tootle on and get our regions and get as much as we can for the guys in our group, because at the end of the season, all these sort of achievements are hopefully going to add up. Might mean that we're going to get somewhere. Anyway, let's go back and see what have we got. We've got some reports come in. How did we do? Oh my god, Corruptor actually won. How dead is it? 131 against 189. Oh, we had a self that kind of, what happened here? So we came up against the Resolute and we gave that a bit of a spanking, so that's pretty good. And what the hell happened here? 131 of 189. What is that running? So let's look at my Corruptor first. And basically I got this geared up, so we kind of maxed out that the first 3 rounds we're getting all this damage, and the reason for that is so that we got some sort of 75% chance to evade all the damage from the next 4 attacks, and inflict confusion, enemy strike damage received. So 10% chance to inflict stun, and that should have gone up right towards the end with more chances than it's supposed to. But I reckon that probably the Eclipse there has hit me very early on and seriously stuffed me. What is it running until 147 standard damage, next damage? So this is coming from the capital ship itself, so I can't actually stun that, so that's hit me bad for sure before I actually start looking at this. It's turning me turrets, it was 300%. Yeah, again, that's the capital ship doing the damage there, so there's not much I can do about that apart from reduce its leadership or confuse it and hope that it hits something of its own. And it's got these skills here. Oh man, this thing is stacked up with capital ship damage. So I think if we go in and have a look at the details, that's what we're going to see. And what do we got here? Ship damage, it's done 31,000 to mine, like paltry 9,000, and strikecraft damage 18,000. So that's the majority of that's come from his ship. Okay, yes, I won, but I've lost a lot of harpies in the process. My poor little harpies, and 2 of my morning stars. So that'll be the capital ship just banging that damage out and knocking some of these down before I can kill it off. How long did it go for? 3 or 4 turns, so he's got most of his skills in. Let's look at turn 3 or turn 3. How much here? Yeah, the Sylph here, sorry, is not the Eclipse. The Sylph has done 26,000 damage up by turn 3, so that's really banging that out. And if I just go back to that, where are we, combat report here, I just want to sort of explain to those who are unsure here as to what I've done. This really works here on the Corruptor because of my strikecraft setup. So at the front I've put in sort of 5 or 6 of these morning stars. These guys are fantastic. They start with a defense of 547, and then that ramps up by another 325 for the first 3 rounds and takes all the damage from standard attacks on behalf of allies. So That would probably be from standard strike craft attacks, I would imagine. But this defense is massive, and the health is fairly standard for a large ship or heavy ship. 3,600. That's the equivalent of 900 for a single command point lighter ship. But that defense, that's just massive. That's soaking up the damage, and I think most of the Sylph damage is probably physical damage and not elemental. If that was elemental damage I was going up against, those Morningstars would be toast, because elemental damage should go straight through any kind of defense. It just ignores it completely and gives you the damage. That's why elemental stats for ships should be a lot lower, probably about half the physical damage or power that a ship has. So you've got these two types. You've got the elemental damage, which is thermal, radiation, and so on, and those are actually ranked, and some do more damage than others. I'm assuming that the dev crew have worked that bit out, but I'm not 100% sure on that, because all these come from an old game, sort of Immortal Conquest, or prior to that, sort of 10 years old, and the template's the same, and then games companies come along and kind of build on top of that. And how much they know about the original code and how it used to work is entirely dependent on whether they actually played any of the original games or similar ones. I know in our case that I think a lot of the crew at RG have been involved with Rise to War, Lord of the Rings Rise to War at some point. So I'm not saying they haven't got any clues. I'm saying they probably got a lot more clues than most people coming in to develop this type of game. So anyway, this it's fairly standard. There's usually a couple of ships like this floating around. You've got the one of the Ograk ships, I think, as well, has got this kind of takes all the damage on behalf of allies, but it doesn't have this extra defense here. What it does have is a much higher damage received. Now that's all damage, be it physical or it should be all damage, be it physical or elemental. So, and the Ograk side is like minus 15%. Given most of the tile defenders I'm coming up against are dealing physical damage, I've gone with this one. For PvP, I may well shift back to the Ogre. I think it's the Cyclops or something like that. So that in the first few rounds, that sucks up all the damage, and meanwhile it relies on the fact that these harpies stay alive long enough to actually pump it out. But against a ship that pumps out a lot of skill damage, these things are toast, because the Morningstar is not going to sop up the attacks from those skill attacks. It's only standard attacks that it's sopping it up from. So yeah, I can expect to lose some, but hey, they got a 100% chance each round to follow up, and they've got this damage range that's really quite high already. I might have pumped that up with a few officers as well. And they're banging that out 2 times around and getting an extra heal out of it as well, due to how I've got the Corruptor set up. I think it's the Corruptor. Anyway, and that on hit enemy target defense minus 50% for 1 round. That doesn't actually work every time, unfortunately. That's another bug we've kind of reported in a feedback video. So when that's working properly, things will probably get a bit evened out. And the Corruptor here, let's just have a quick look to see if that Corruptor stun skill has been fixed. We'll go straight to round 4, and where is it? Round 4. I think we might have just killed them off before we see. Yeah, now the Berserker is suffers and then resists from Shocker. So that's this weird thing with the Corruptor skill Shocker. This 10% chance to inflict stun each round is kind of, if you were rolling dice, it's getting rolled for every single round, and for that 10% chance. And once it's stuck, that's it, it's stuck. So with the Sylph, it probably doesn't matter so much when you're running that, because you're running that as basically the capital ship is doing the damage, rather than it's actual it's Berserkers in this case. They're not really going to be doing much anyway. So yeah, that's just a look at that. So yeah, unsurprising report, I guess, against a ship that does that. If we look at something where it was up against the Resolute, and where's the damage coming from here? So the damage is coming from the close range strike craft, and unfortunately with up against my Corruptor, we've just kind of stunned them all the way through. I'm not even going to bother looking, I can tell you that. Now So that was the corruptor. What else have we got? So my Leviathan did quite well, and yeah, this is again it's similar setup. I think I've got the Morning Stars up front, and this time round we've got the Inquisitors on there because we get with do we get a buff against that with my Leviathan? I think we might do somewhere on enemies. So I've got a mixture now of ship damage. I'm supposed to get this damage received stacking. Again, that's another bit that might be bugged. We're not entirely sure whether that's stacking up or not. Ship damage here against one enemy damage deals 300. One allied unit will recover. 2 allied units are actually recovering that. So I've stuck to just 2 strike craft on here, so they both get the recover HP. And we've got the Morning Stars kind of protecting the Inquisitors. And in here, all allied strike craft deal extra damage, chance to inflict stun. So yeah, there was not necessarily any reason for putting Tyrannus on there. We've got stun immunity, strike craft defense, strike craft damage received, first 3 rounds strike craft chance to ignore evasion. That's a really handy skill on an officer, and as is this chance to gain stun immunity. Unfortunately, I don't have the funds to pump these things up any further. This was sheer luck. I just chucked a bit of birthday money on this when I started back at the beginning of May, and that's not likely to go too much further. Those that don't know me, many do actually, because there's a lot of people here come from Rise to War. I gave up work 10 years ago to care full time for my wife. Good chap that I am, and raise my kids. Wife is chronically bed-bound, so money is hard to come by. We live on social welfare. We are those people. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, spending my time now trying to help you guys out. So that was the Leviathan, and let's just go back. My dread's over here. The reason my dread is over here is because we're pumping up somewhere here, and the reason for doing that, I'll just pull out here. We need to get more of our guys up to Terra, because that is going to be like a whole guild event. There's no way that 4 or 5 of us can take this thing down alone. It'll take bloody forever. So we need a bastion. Now we can't build a bastion in enemy controlled territory, so we've got to get somewhere close up here, and this is where pathing comes in. Quite simply, the boring bit of these games is that getting that pathing done. For some, there are some mad buggers out there who actually love pathing. I've come across a few in games, and honestly, they're the craziest people, but they're absolutely essential. If you can find a guy with a whole bunch of ships who's totally into the game, but not really got the funds or the desire to get involved in PvP, and they've got a stack of ships, then they're your pathers if they want to be involved. Anyone can get involved in this game. Doesn't matter who you are, how much you spend. There are all sorts of tasks to do. So we've just got a couple of ships here. I think I've just got that one upgraded. These front ones, we need to upgrade them constantly because we're going to be needing more ships up here. We've got my Sunder up there in case we have any issues. And let's just bring someone else in. So we want to deploy that. Where's he come from? Oh, I'll be honest, I do get a bit stuck between these bloody ships and what they're doing. Why did I just send that out there? Oh, I should have sent someone closer. Never mind. We'll get there. Let's just jump back out again. Go back over here. Oh, the restart bug. That's only the 4th time today, and I've only been playing for 15 or 20 minutes. Don't you just hate it when that map zooms out? And it's getting kind of funny now. It was very frustrating and irritating at the beginning, but let's just pop in there, do that again. Come out here, we can just sort of go off on our path. This was an interesting kind of takedown here. Yesterday, I think it was, I came up against a guy, and this is an interesting point really, because there are a lot of guys coming from the crypto world, and this was really not being marketed as a game to the Web 2 Geostrat gaming community yet, and it's not really in any form to do that. I would say that's probably a good few weeks, if not a month or two off. This down to sorting out all the battle algorithms and bugs and so on. But word of mouth went out around, I guess, around the, would I call it the crypto community on X, or Twitter as it once was called. I don't know much about X, and I don't know much about Twitter. Most of these games I've played are entirely reliant on people running their groups via Discord and so on. And I'll come across some really nice guys and really helpful guys, and I'll come across quite a few arses as well, because, you know, that's the world, not just X or crypto. But obviously there's a lot of guys come in here to earn themselves arcade tokens before the token generation event starts in, I don't know, I don't follow it enough, so probably it could be a few days, it might be a week or two. I think it's a couple of weeks off. And with the idea being that if they invest money in this, they will win back tokens that are worth more, and that seems to be a fairly standard thing with Web3 gaming, is sort of playing to earn almost fly-by-nights, and on and on and on people go and jump around from game to game, earning themselves some more crypto, and good luck to them. That's not my bag at all. But there are a lot of people driven to do that. But it's actually creating some kind of perverse outcomes in a game like this, which has already been designed as an ongoing kind of long-term game plan, rather than just a sort of casual card collector. And it's a very different type of game. You're not here to farm tiles, and you know, I know a lot of guys who are just sort of investing their money in their ships and so on, so that they can hit certain key points that require them to basically spend an awful lot of real world money in order to get up to their goals, their tokens, or crypto. You can actually buy packs with, I think, crypto in the warofnova.com store. And so they maybe, you know, using their well-won gains from other games to invest that into here. And great, anything that keeps the game going, I'm all for that. Anything that keeps its head above water, that's fantastic. I think it shows promise. Definitely that the community that's developed around that are great. I've not seen anything like this for a long time. So that's a fantastic element of it. But where was I? I'm digressing as you, rambling. Silky, get it together, buddy. What I wanted to talk about was the perverse outcomes that we're getting here, as such things like, you know, if you go into our leaderboard, there's guys here aiming for just to be top in influence generation, and we got Obi-Wan Kenobi, we got Burak. So none of these guys here are they're not involved in guilds, and yet, as Satoru, is it? I've nothing against it, you know, come in, play your own game by all means, but it does create some difficulties when the whole idea of the game is that you get together as a team, because that's the only way you can actually achieve these season goals, is to work as a team together. And then when you've got other guys coming in and they get a hugely bad rap as farmers in Web 2 games that are further along the line than this, because those guys who are coming in and nicking all the, you know, using all the high influence tiles are not actually using that influence and the resource that it generates to get into player versus player and help the team out against all your enemies across the board. So they do get a bad rap, and there's a reason why, and that's because they're sucking up resource that is fairly scarce and preventing players from their faction from being able to be as competitive as other factions where they kind of got it together. So that's the reason why you're going to get a bad rap, basically just influence farming. And you can sit there and say, well, that's what the event that's being run to win arcade tokens kind of requires you to do. But I think most people playing would rather that you did that and helped out your team or your faction, because this is a team game. There's no two ways about it. You start pulling that shitty stunt of nicking all the high level resource tiles in later seasons. Hopefully they'll introduce the betray option, and you'll find yourself completely stripped and nowhere to go. And once you've had 1 or 2 seasons of that, you either get with the program or you leave the game, because, you know, if your ego is driven by being highest on that particular influence leaderboard, then nobody wants you here, frankly. That's just the way of things. That's this type of game. It's a game that requires you to be on multiple hours a day, to be checking in whether or not you need to build your next outpost to get somewhere, probably every 2.5 hours, even if you're only on for 5 minutes. What people will be really interested in is this one, war ranking. this is how much damage you are doing to your enemy. This so we've got two of these guys, exceptionals, and David's a fantastic guy. He's put together a whole bunch of ship builds for PvP and PvE for our gaming community in Rogs, and had a lot of input. Who else have we got up here? Kurt, I think is that Curtis in Discord maybe that I've been chatting with. Not entirely sure. Could be. Who else have we got up here? Mustafa Crypto, a great guy and very vocal in the world chat here. Backmask Jacob I know from early testing, he's doing great. That's fantastic seeing him up there. I've honestly got no idea how I'm ranked here at number 20. I think I've hit about 3 or 4 people. We are not in PvP with anyone. We've had a few minor skirmishes with Terra with the few players they had left. A few of whom have left, I think, and gone over to Vanguard or somewhere else. They changed faction, sucked it up, lost all their tiles, and started again in another faction. I can't blame them for that. We'd have taken them into ours, but for the fact that if you're starting Sovereign, you can only go to a Sovereign faction. Same for Dominion. It might be nice to see that change, so that when you sort of got invaders like that and you've got no hope at all, you can actually just join them. That might be better for the players themselves who are in there, because I'd love to have gone out to some of these guys. They've done a great job, trying to hold us as much as they can. But honestly, we've got a few players who have played these games before, and we just kind of run all over them. I can probably give you a prime example of that fairly shortly. And I'm just going to pull up this. There's this interesting set of reports yesterday. If I go down here, I had some guy knock out one of my outposts because we were down at Polaris. We've had it for probably a day or two, and he's staging a fight back, and that's great. All kudos to him. I think I tried to message the guy because he's got this beautiful ship somewhere. Let's go down there. I'm going to hide his name up the top there when we actually edit this at the end, or just use the term loosely. And where are we? I think it's here. This is a Valkyrie. My god, this is a thing of beauty. I mean, look at all those gold officers. That is just crazy. I do not know how much you spent, my friend, but it's a lot, and thank you for your service. Unfortunately, he's probably not putting in the same sort of time as I am, so he's only kind of running tier 2 ships here and one here. And just a sort of word of advice, if your skill tree's looking like this, that's horrible. Focus on some of these big ones here, get those up, because that kind of work out what your best skills are here and pump the points into them. Don't spread them all out like this unless you happen to have something that only requires 1 ability point. So fire off something like Confusion or Stun, and in which case that's well worth putting just a single point into. That's gold, that is. But I kind of felt a bit sorry for this fella, because he's not really got anyone helping him out with ship builds. There's no one really in his area, which is Terra, and I've just come in and just with a very basic Sunder build, I've just with my little blue officers and my sort of $100 spin for the whole game, I just thumped him, and again and again and again and again, and there's however many of these. And I think one of them, where is it now? That first one I picked up about 5,000 or 6,000 of my war ranking. Where is it? It's just here, 5,800. Top all them up, and that's probably why my war ranking is so high. And all up, I got about 125,000 experience for this. And that's mainly due to the fact that, unfortunately for him, he's got every single, even his lightweight ships in here, his sort of lower level ones, every single one of them is stacked out with ships, and I'm just racking up experience points and war ranking points for it. What do they call them in here? Is that? Oh, it is war ranking points, quite simply. In other games it's merit points or whatever. If you're gonna just leave all your ships on a stack right next to someone you've attacked, I kind of, just one word of advice would be, all those smaller ones, move them back somewhere, where they're not going to get hit in that stack, or you're just giving away war ranking points to the opposition and experience points, and you're losing all those other ships when you don't need to. This repair bill would have been hours and probably overflowed the repair bay, and it would have actually, in that instance, you actually lose a lot of those. So that's probably around it for now. Just kind of me rabbiting on and moaning about farmers, not necessarily just crypto guys, because they're in here doing their own thing, and I'm all good with that. I mean, there's other farmers, but it's as a group that wants to play together, it's just annoying to find someone kind of taking all your resource tiles up without actually contributing them probably multiple ships and things to anything that remotely helps the guild or the faction, just in it for themselves. So that's fairly selfish behaviour. They probably don't realise it, but yeah, what you're doing is actually hampering us as a group from trying to move forwards. You're making our jobs harder. We have to go further afield for our tiles and so on. So I will probably just end it up right there. We'll just kind of come back to my home base, because you know we just need to recall these ships and go and kind of hit this stuff again. That's me rabbiting on for a while, just my thoughts on the game. There's a few tips in there, just explaining how I look at the battle reports a bit, and you know I'll do a few more of these from time to time. Hopefully it'll be a bit more interesting. We'll get some PvP fairly soon. I'm unlikely to do too many more until then, but thanks for watching. I'll start banging out some more tutorials soon, and some sort of how-to vids, the shorter ones, and hope you're all enjoying the game. Happy hunting.